Revelation chapter 17. We are now at the twofold fall of Babylon. Okay, that's what our map says. Remember, this is the same map that Pastor Josh used when he was going through his whole series. If you want to check out those, you can go onto the Spokane Baptist Church YouTube page and check out the archives and look up his revelation there. So these are the sections that he went through. And as you can see right here, we are so close to chapter 19, the second coming of Jesus. Okay, so chapter 17, we start dealing with Babylon, the fall of Babylon. So anyone heard of Babylon before? Put your hand up if you've heard of Babylon. Anyone who's even played like Age of Empires and stuff like that, you've all heard of Babylon, so it's good. But before we get into Babylon more in depth in here, we need to understand a few things. Revelation 16:19, so literally the last chapter we went through. So the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Okay, so Revelation 16:9, Revelation 14:8, I'm not going to read that one, but you can check that one out as well, declares that Babylon will fall. It's going to happen, it's going to fall. So, Babylon is also mentioned 287 times in the Bible.
Oh,
yeah. Quite a few times. I didn't count them all myself. That was the consensus of many different commentators who said that. So, before we start going into a little bit too much of the prophecy and the illustrations and stuff like that, Babylon was a literal city. It was a city on the Euphrates River. So it was a big city on one of the biggest rivers around. Anyone remember what we said about the river Euphrates last time? You got it?
That if it like dries off, something will happen. I forgot that. Oh, like demons will come out of it, like a frog or something.
Yeah. So in the last chapter we talked about that. We also said that the Romans used it as what?
Oh, it was like a barrier.
It was a barrier because it was such a big river, people just wouldn't cross it. Not without great effort, not without like loss, because it was at such a big deal of a defense there. So Genesis 11:1 through 10 tells us that after the flood, there was a civilization that organized up against God. They brought together, they came up and they started to try and organize against God. They're basically saying that this was Babylon. This civilization that a lot of people say was Babylon. Again, this is all speculation because we don't know, we weren't there. But it's kind of fun how people say this is exactly where it is and what it is and what it looks like, okay? So, I'm throwing some stuff out there for you guys to think about. But Babylon was later the capital of the empire that conquered Judah. It's been in the Bible, stuff happens with it, okay? And in the Old Testament, the name Babylon is associated with idolatry, associated with blasphemy, and the persecution of God's people, okay? So it's a big deal. Babylon, when we talk about Babylon, we're not just talking about a person or an empire or anything like that. We're talking about an actual big thing that happens. We're talking about, especially in this chapter, a lot of illustration about what Babylon looks like. And the words, if you're using King James, the word whore is used a few times. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Like, don't laugh at that every single time I have to say it. But I'll say it, don't be shocked, okay? Because that's what the Bible says. You're laughing. Why are you laughing back there, Joshua?
You're laughing too.
I'm smiling about it because it's awkward. Right? Like I was reading through the chapter and I was like, it's going to be fine. No, it's not. Okay, so chapters, first section, let's go through that first. We've got section 1. The intro to the woman. So verses 1 through 6 says this, And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit of the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-coloured beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet colour, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Verse 6, And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So, we have this woman. We're seeing this woman here, and we're seeing what's going to come out here is actual judgment. Okay, so there is obviously a picture of a woman. He's seeing an actual woman. Who's writing this, by the way?
John.
John, good job. There you go. So, verse 1, I will show unto thee judgment. So the 7 angels, one of the 7 angels who have poured out their vials, remember we went through the vials last time, their bowls, and he came up to John and said to him, hey John, come over here mate, I'll show you some judgment. I'll show you what's going to happen. Okay, so the judgment, as we've already said, is already determined. It's going to happen. Revelation 14, Revelation 16, those 2 verses that I said earlier, they confirmed that, okay? So according to religious history, and this is the best part, and legends, the Babylonian religion was founded by the wife of who? Does anyone know? Guy back in Genesis time, relative of Noah, bro called Nimrod. Genesis 10, 8 to 12 talks about this, but the wife of Nimrod was called Semiramis. Imagine being upset with her and having to say that name. I'd get it wrong so often. So, she had a son who was called Tammuz, T-A-M-M-U-Z, again, awkward name. But people actually regarded this guy as a savior. Regarded him in such a light that he was looked at as like a savior of mankind. And we can read in Ezekiel 8:14 that Ezekiel actually protests against the ceremony of the weeping of Tammuz. So people would go and they would cry because this guy was gone, because this guy was dead. And they would weep and he'd say, just stop. You're crying over the wrong person. You're being led astray. This guy was another person who was trying to pull away from God. So it's one of those things you'll see in here. There's a lot of ways that people like to say, like, this links to this legend, this links to this. Legends always come back to the Bible somehow. It's kind of crazy. It's not really that crazy, really, because you think it's just the truth, and people like to twist it, right? So we have this idea now of the judgment that's coming, and it's coming, and I'll show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. What does it mean that someone sits on many waters? What do you think, Eli? What you got?
Not too sure.
Can you sit on many waters? No?
We can't walk on water.
Okay, you can't sit and walk on water, probably can't sit on water, okay? Now, so say if you looked at the world, and you look at a globe, okay? And you take a little action figure and you stick your Lego person on top of a globe, your Lego person's gonna look pretty big in comparison to the countries. What I'm thinking here is that John's gone through such a great perspective here. He's been taken away out to be able to see this woman sitting on many waters, meaning many seas, meaning many places all over the earth, connecting them all up somehow. That was my kind of interpretation of this. If you think of something else, let me know, because I think this is quite a confusing thing to think of. But I like the idea of looking at a small globe and taking like an action figure and being like, yeah, if I sit you on top of this, you kind of cover a lot of water. You're going to connect in a lot of ways. So, Babylon sits on many waters. So basically, in my mind, she presides over many nations. She's connecting up that land in those ways, okay? In other words, we can kind of see that she has a universal or international power about her. Later on in verse 15, we're going to have a little look into that. But the idea is it's kind of almost bringing a union together, bringing people together by where she's sitting. Unifying of false, idolatrous religions, all different religions coming together to make one false religion, right, under the Antichrist. So, many people, because this word harlot, that gets thrown around in here as well, many people have connected this woman to the great harlot of the Roman Catholics. But the really tough part about that is associating it with one church means that it's not true for everyone else. What we need to see is that actually it's going to connect everyone. It's not just saying those Christian waters or the Roman Catholic waters. Notice it says upon many waters. That means it's going to span a lot of different people. You can't just confirm you're just going to touch certain type. That doesn't make any sense. No one's that accurate, right? So The real thing to take away from this is false religion is not limited to one religion, to one people. False religion is unlimited to everyone. We can all fall into that trap anywhere. I'm reading a book at the moment at home, which is all about cults and about people being sucked into cults and stuff. And it's scary to think about all the options out there in this world. You know, and knowing that people might turn around and say, hey, the church you're in, Christians, you guys are a cult too, man. You know, everyone thinks different things about different religions, but the point is that everyone's in danger of falling into the trap of false religion, about falling away from God. So, verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Does anyone know what fornication means? Kind of a rough word to kind of go through right now, okay? Dictionary meaning of fornication is intercourse, so sex with people before marriage, okay? Biblical meaning is similar, but also brings in the worship of false gods instead of the one true God. That's kind of the overview of what the Bible uses that for as well sometimes. So, strong association with basically immorality and idolizing, okay? And what we can read from this, the kings of the earth have committed fornication, so they have committed idolatry or become immoral, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. What does that mean? Anyone got any ideas? Become drunk of her fornication.
Maybe like manipulated.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Okay. So they might have been manipulated in some way. The way I see this as well, manipulation is a good one, right? The truth that I kind of see, maybe it's not the truth, maybe it's an interpretation of mine, is that Babylon, this woman, is going to be very attractive. It's going to be very attractive to different people in different ways. And remember, we're not talking about a physical woman here. We're talking about a power that is touching unions all over the world. A government, a civilization, something that's going to be in charge. And it's going to look very appealing to lots of different people. And you may not think about it in the way of like sex, but you can definitely think about it about idolatry. Okay, so you're not going to go and get into bed with the government. That's kind of awkward. But you can definitely start idolizing things that they put in front of you. But the whole point, and this is kind of my point right here as well, Babylon will be attractive to the world and will aim to pull you further away from the one true God. Okay, that's the whole goal of this right now. Verses 3-6 tells us of what John actually saw. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-coloured beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So the first thing we're going to look at there is, he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. John, this is John we're talking about. John gets carried away by one angel. This is a pretty crazy thing right now, okay? Those angels have just poured vials of judgment onto the whole world. People have been killed. People have been wiped out, all this stuff. And one of the angels is just like, hey, we're going for a ride. Let's go. Whee! Do I think John did the whole Titanic thing? Absolutely, okay? So...
Was it Ghost of Christmas Present?
I don't know that reference.
You don't?
No.
That's scary.
So...
Are you British?
So, John is, actually I'm American now, by the way. John is carried away into the wilderness. Into the wilderness, okay, that's what it says. So he's carried away, and I think the thing we need to work out here is, what exactly is going on? What exactly is going on? So, the word spirit, that word spirit right there that's used, is the word pneuma, okay, so spirit, a breath. Revelation 11:11 tells us of this same breath that is the breath of life. That's the same spirit that's going on here, okay? So John is carried away, and the great thing that happens here is he's almost carried away to get a greater perspective of what's going on. Imagine, you always wish, I don't know about you, but before I had a drone, I wondered what my house looked like from on top of my house. And then you got a drone and you're like, huh, cool. This like gives you a different perspective. Didn't change my life too much. This does. This does. This is him kind of zooming out. Like I said, like the world gets smaller, stick an action figure on top of the world, you get that picture of a woman touching all the different lands and all the different oceans and connecting everyone. That's kind of why I got that idea of like what was going on here. That he was able to see from a bird's eye view type of situation, right? So he saw a woman sat upon a scarlet-colored beast. So the harlot rides the same beast. How do we know it's the same beast? What does the beast have, Joshua?
Horns and
How many horns?
7.
Yeah, and how many heads? No, Dylan, how many heads?
10.
7.
It's the other way around.
How many horns? 10 horns.
Yeah.
So, back in Revelation 13:1, with the Antichrist and his dictatorship, we see this beast come out, and that's where he starts popping up right there. I was going to say rear his head, but heads, many heads. So we get to zoom out, we get to see God's perspective on this type of thing, taking John to a better viewpoint, which allowed him to see the association between the harlot and the beast. Sometimes when you're so close to something, you can't see the danger. Me and Rachel were talking about this the other day. We were in a bad situation, and we only saw the good once we had stepped away from the situation. Like once we had physically removed ourselves and took ourselves away, like our whole family out, then we looked back and we went, oh, that situation was really toxic. But when you're in the situation, it's really tough to see that. So John getting taken back and being able to see now, okay, it's not just an attractive woman. Look what she's sitting on. She's sitting on that beast that's associated with the Antichrist. This is not good. This isn't good. There's danger here. Watch out. Okay? So, she sat on the beast. Verse 4 tells us that she had different colored clothes. She was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. The woman's clothes were lined with emblems of luxury. Government colors were scarlet, and luxury with purple and gold. But out of her cup, she was offering something, abomination and filthiness of her fornication. That's a cup of like impurities. Take a drink. She's offering it around to people. But it's going to be so great for you. I'll change your whole world. I'll offer you the best things ever. Just drink it. Very attractive, very good with their words, really easy to get along with, those type of people, and then you're tricked, and then you're snared, and then you're in danger. So it's a weird thing to think about, but this woman, she's dressed in these magnificent colors. She looks like royalty. She looks high class. She looks like she'd be part of the government, but in her cup, she's asking you to drink all these imperfections and impurities, and all these problems, and all these bad things. So, it's important that we remember that. So verse 3, it says, the beast was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Full of names of blasphemy. Who was he blaspheming? Who was the beast blaspheming? Give her. God. Full of blasphemy. Wasn't a good thing inside him. Just shouting out lies, bad things, false things about the true God. And then we get up to verse 5 here, and we read about these names that are written on the board. Oh, go for it.
Sorry, can I just make one connection from the cup? Because I think verse 4 and verse 2 are connected, because in her cup, or in her golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication, but in verse 2, the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So again, it's not a picture, it's not actually wine, it's a picture of this cup has stuff in it that's not healthy for you. And then verse 4 describes what's in that cup. That is in the drunkenness of, like, clearly people are buying it, they're buying into the attraction, they're getting drunk, they're losing focus, they're not able to see the truth.
Not be able to see the truth? Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good. That's a great point. And I think that's the whole point here as well. There's danger. You just look, not being able to see the bigger picture, there's a big problem here as well. Verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name written. The name on her forehead identifies the woman in more ways than one. Usually you have like a little name tag and it's like, hey, my name's Derek. You're like, hey, Derek, what do you do? And then you have to work out what they do and who they are. This really tells you a little bit more. We're going to go back into Roman times. In the Roman times, prostitutes would typically have a headband around their head. And what would be on their headband? Their name. Have their name. And it'd have a symbol of who they belong to, what temple, who was their owner in that way, or who were they working with. And that would be how you would identify them. So she has a name on her forehead, back like in those times, a prostitute back in those days. We know that this woman is beautiful. She's dressed beautifully, right? She's dressed the right way, but she's a prostitute of some form, which tells you what? Image-wise, it's a person willing to sell themselves to gain something back. To sell themselves, to please others, to get something out of it, okay? So, one thing I wanted to really clear up, Revelation 12, we talked about a different woman representing Israel and God's people, and then there's this woman. They're not the same, okay? One is representing Israel, God's people. The other one is representing idolatry and the false religion. But notice that we're using similar images here so that John can understand it. He's not using different stuff. God's not putting stuff in that will confuse him here. It's very clear that there's different people, okay? So it says, mystery, Babylon the Great. So this harlot, this woman, is the embodiment of Satan's world religion, of what's going to come. Okay, she's like the power that's going to come from there. And what this kind of tells me as a Christian is that we must be prepared to stand up against these attempts of like seduction, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like being luring and stuff like that, alluring, and the idea of being like not just falling for the fact that someone says, "Hey, something shiny, take it." You got to be able to have some way to kind of look at this and weigh it up. It's actually a real Christian thing to turn around and say, "Hey, I want to go home and pray about it and then come back." Some people don't think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. That's why it's kind of funny when you go like, "Hey, do you have an answer for this question?" Sometimes I'll turn around and say, "Actually, I don't. I'm going to write it down, go home, study about it, pray about it, come back to you and give you a better answer because I don't want to give you garbage." We need to be able to weigh stuff up. We need to be able to do that. So, verse 6, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Here's the issue right here. Why? Why is John looking at this woman with great admiration? Faraz, what do you think?
I don't know. Maybe probably it's because it's something he's never seen before.
Right?
Yeah.
So what is going on here? Right? It says maybe it's a shock. Admiration is a weird word because sometimes you think of admiration, you go, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. It's like, well, maybe, but also it could be like you're just blown away here, staggered. Here's why I think John is saying admiration here. I think he's looking at it and he's saying, one, God's word came true. He's admiring this because it's God's words coming true. The promises of God yet coming true yet again. Praise Jesus for that. But it's also not just a pagan persecution anymore. It's not just the world's religions going against him. This is a world religion of the Antichrist going against God. So not only is it God's word, now it's coming true, now he's able to see it. I think it's an admiration of actually seeing what God's word is doing right in front of him. Wes, does yours say admiration as well?
It does, yes.
Yeah.
I looked at the Greek. I can find it again real fast. It was a little more of a general, like awe, rather than specifically like
respect.
Admiration, respect.
Yeah. So it's a weaker word of admiration, not just
wonder.
a wonder.
Yeah,
We have the same.
And I think that's it. I think this is the idea of like, it's a wonder of like what's actually going on here. But I believe there's still an admiration of the fact that God's word is coming true. And he's able to be there and see it. So, what's up?
One other thing, there's a note saying apparently from a form of like a word right below, and that one says to look closely.
There you go.
And then it says wonder. So those
So
two
look closer
Greek
and
words
wonder.
are linked.
Interesting. So even just by looking a little bit deeper right there, guys, good job. Okay, we're going to jump into section 2 because we are running out of time. So do not marvel with section 2, 7 through 13. It says, "And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and the beast that carrieth her, which have the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose name were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind which have wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings, 1 hour with the beast. Verse 13, these have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So, the angel took John up, gave him a greater perspective, let him be able to see everything a little bit more. Now the angel's chatting to John, and he says to him, I'm going to give you an explanation about this whole situation. And then we all say, yes, please, because this is confusing. Okay? And he's saying, hey, I'm going to talk to you all about it. And the following is basically a description about what the state of the world is. The harlot ruled or rode the Antichrist system, but the Antichrist is the force. He's the power behind it, okay? The Antichrist is just using the harlot as a tool to accomplish his goals. Isn't that just really sad? This government power, this whole thing is just being used as a little pawn in this massive giant chess match. Not even like a rook or anything, a pawn. It's terrible, it's useless.
Don't let it get to the other side of the board though.
Well, don't do that, but yeah. But verse 8, it tells us about the connection between the beast in Revelation 13 and the beast here. Connecting again, it's the same beast. Okay, verse 9, this is the cool one. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains. Has anyone heard anything of this before? 7 heads are 7 mountains. Right. Dived around a little bit of different commentaries. They all say something else. One of them said it is Rome and the papacy. Okay, because people associate this verse with Rome, the fact that Rome is a city that is built upon how many hills? 7! Here's the issue. Did a little Greek, used my Bible that these guys have got. The Greek word here for hills is not hills, it is in fact mountains. So that doesn't line up for me there. It doesn't work to turn around and say, hey, it's Rome because there's mountains and there's hills and there's hills. It doesn't work that way. Not for me anyway. Maybe you got something else you want to say about that. But in the Bible, mountains are used sometimes to describe governments. So Daniel 2:35 tells you that. What's up?
So there's also one other thing. It's used to describe fallen angels, I think, right?
I don't know. Find a reference. Tell me. But I like where you're looking. I like what you're doing. So it's good. So think about it in this idea as well. So we may be looking for a landscape of 7 mountains and going, oh, there it is. Don't go over there. It's going to be bad. Or how about instead we look at the idea of 7 governments or kings or kingdoms or countries coming together, which are described in verse 10 of this chapter here. There are 7 kings, 5 are fallen and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. So 5 are fallen, 1 is now, and 1's yet to come. So that would make you 7 right there, okay? But it's an interesting thing. The passage itself, this passage, verse 10, is super difficult because it's bringing predictions that we can't really work out, descriptions that we cannot really understand, and based on a lot of the commentaries that I read around, everyone struggles with this chapter because they all go, I know the answer, you got to believe me, and you go, that makes no sense because it doesn't say hill, it says mountain, and it doesn't say government, it says mountain, and it doesn't say this, it says mountain, and someone just say mountain, and it doesn't work. So lots of people are guessing to try and work out what this means. I'm just trying to give this to you guys so you can try and work it out as well. If you get an idea, let me know. So it could mean, again, speculation, but back in John's day, they could be referring to the 5 world empires before John's day. Okay, so you got Egypt, Assyria, Babylonia, Medo-Persia, and Greece. Then, I did not say Syria, go away. Then you have the empire of John's day, which is Rome. Okay? And then you have an extra one. Maybe a revival of one of the old ones, maybe a new revival of New Rome, or an even more united kingdom. I don't know.
United States.
Oh yeah, maybe, but you've got 6 right there. And this is the thing, the other one is yet to come. So we don't know that one yet. And that's what makes this tough. But we know this though. It says, when he cometh a short space. That's in verse 10 right there at the end. There are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other is yet to not come. And when he cometh, continue a short space. That means he comes into rule, and then he's gone. He's like, finally gets his little butt groovement on the throne, and then he gets taken out. It's kind of crazy. But verse 11 tells you, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th. We know who takes the place. And that's the beast. And is of the 7th and goeth into perdition. So, he's identified as the 8th right there. The next verse, verse 12. Yeah, verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And verse 13, these all have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. The 10 toes, 10 kings, the 10 toes in Daniel. I don't know if you guys can remember going through this. Daniel 2, 24 to 45, speak a little bit about this idea and a little bit of an understanding, greater understanding. Check that out if you want, Daniel 2, 24 to 45. Many people have looked at the EU and wondered if this is like the potential fulfillment of what's going on. But there's a lot more nations now in the EU than 10. So, ever heard of like a 21-toed beast or however many countries are in the EU now? You know, it's kind of awkward. So people are still trying to predict. That's what I'm trying to say here. People are still trying to work this out. But whatever their exact identity is, whatever this new place is going to be, we can read in verse 13 that their actions will all be joined together, and their power will also be joined together unto the beast. So they have one mind and shall give their power and strength to the beast. They're all going to think the same way, and they're going to go, yeah, it's all yours. You take it. So submission, complete submission to the beast. And that's kind of scary in itself, but that's just what the Bible tells you. Section 3, the war against the Lamb, that's bad spelling right there, against the Lamb predicted. So 14 to 18 says, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. Verse 18, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Okay. This is where we got the idea that it's talking about nations here. We weren't talking about just water. It says nations, peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. All different types of people. That's what the woman's going to be sitting on top of there, okay? So, verse 14, these will make war with the Lamb. Revelation 16, 12 to 21 tells us all about that. That was our last study through there. But verse 15, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are people. The harlot presides over people, over nations, over multitudes, over tongues. That, again, I said that at the start, was an international power, an influence, right? And through her connection with the beast, the aim here is a one world religion. The woman is connected completely with this beast and the government. That's the scary part about all of this. There's no separation here. Verse 16. And the 10, I should really press into 14 again, sorry. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and King of kings, and they are that with him are called and chosen and faithful. Okay, so, who are with him? Who's with the Lamb? Can you remember what happened? Who was on top of the hill with the Lamb? Go for it.
Is it the 1,404 people?
It was a certain amount of people, right? And they're all up there and they're all singing. And he's 144?
144, yeah.
Yeah? So, maybe?
Oh.
I don't know, check it. But what we're saying is, it says it right here, they're the faithful. Those who are with him are the what? The faithful. The ones that stuck with him the whole time. The ones that saw this whole thing through. The ones that clung close to Jesus. The ones that clung to him, and didn't fall away. The faithful are with him now. in that war, and they shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. Overcomes them. I was really hoping for like an incredible description about this battle, but it's quite simple. Jesus wins. It's done. Okay? For he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. Yeah, of course he is. These are his titles. This is what he's earned by being the sacrificial lamb, by being the good king, the one who came down for our sins. That's who Jesus is. It's just recognition of who he is. And then recognition of who we are. If we stay firm with Jesus Christ, we are the called, the chosen, and the faithful. That's an incredible way to be described alongside the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. I tell you what. So, let's jump real back to verse 16. Sorry, that was a bit of a segue. I forgot to put these extra notes in there. But the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. What's just happened? She's just lost a great battle. You might not be reading that very easily right now, but verse 14, there is a big war with all the kings and all the nations that come together and say, we're going to give the beast the power. They give the beast the power, who then takes them to the lamb, and they shall make war with the lamb, verse 14. So she's defeated. She gets defeated, and now it says in 16, they hate the whore and shall make her desolate, naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. We're not talking about a woman here. We're talking about a power that's given all their power to the beast, okay? But naked literally means naked. That's the word in Greek here. It is to get rid of all the clothes and leave them completely exposed. So they'll derobe the harlot, expose her, show the true nature of what's going on, that she's being used as a pawn in Satan's plan. What we really see here is that the Antichrist will not accept anyone worshipping anyone else. That the moment that this government looks like it has power, gives the power over, but as soon as it starts to worship and look at this harlot, this power, and how good we are, it gets wiped out. 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 and 4 tells you about that. So, and they burn her with fire. Once the power is consolidated, the Antichrist no longer needs the harlot. He dismantles, destroys, and takes over, but also wipes her, destroys her, burns her with fire. Completely burnt up. It's nasty. It's a horrible way to go. Verse 17, for God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. The beast's going to be in control. Notice that. To give their kingdom unto the beast. The beast no longer needs the harlot. The harlot's gone now. The beast is in control. Okay? God put it in their hearts to fulfill that. Notice that even in the worst times, I'm thankful for this, by the way, the worst times, God's still in control. I love the fact that he puts that in there, because it's still a strong truth that we need to cling on to, that actually God is in control, even in this horrible time of a war and a harlot and all the different stuff going on. God is still in control. And God uses these 10 kings these 7 kings to be an instrument of judgment to Babylon. And it's crazy. What's that?
Is the beast the Antichrist, right?
Is it?
I forgot. I was making sure.
What do you think?
I'm pretty sure.
Anyone else know what the beast is? We're saying the beast a lot. What's that?
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast?
No.
Maybe not Mr. Beast, you know? Maybe he'll buy you a Lamborghini, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Wes, can you remember who the beast is? Putting you on the spot, sorry.
Yeah.
Think it's the Antichrist?
I'm pretty sure it's separate because the beast comes to Earth, right?
Okay.
The Antichrist is ruling.
Is the beast Satan?
Yeah, the beast.
The dragons.
Yeah, I thought that.
So you got the dragon?
Yeah, the red dragon.
Which I believe they're described very similarly.
Yeah.
The beast is the Antichrist.
And then you've got just the guy that's underneath all of them that's spewing all the hatred, right? So think about all of that. It's funny because you got 3 people to counter the 3 people, right? We had the prophet, which was John the Baptist, to the prophet of the bad guys. You have Christ, you have the Antichrist, you have God, you have the dragon. And it's like they're not on level terms, right? We already know that. Like Jesus is the winner, They don't match up at all. What's up?
Is it a trinity if you have a dragon, the devil, and the beast?
It's an unholy trinity is kind of how I described it last time.
And
So,
then they just discarded the heart. She's just not.
yeah, she's not even in there anymore because she wasn't even needed. She was needed until she wasn't, and she's gone. Okay, final thing here, verse 18, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So, back in John's day, again, different commentaries say different things, but the majority of the commentaries said this one thing. There was only one city that reigned over the rest. What was that city? Anyone got any ideas? Rome! Rome was like the center. It was the political center. It was the economic center. It was the most strongest and the religious center of the whole world at that time. The thing is, question that I kind of came from all of this is Babylon's being compared and given this label over this great power. The question here is, does Babylon have reign over you? Does Rome have power on you? Does whatever place it is it going to have power on you? Because if it does, then you need to sort that out. If you're going to fall for the tricks and the lure, all that stuff, you're going to have to sort that out. Galatians 4:26 says, am I a citizen of a better city, the Jerusalem above, or am I a citizen of here? You got to make that decision, really. That's not up to me, that's not up to anyone else, that's up to you to make that decision, okay? So, that is the start of kind of the fall of Babylon. Chapter 18 kind of puts that into the final sections there, but I've got 3 final thoughts for you today. First one is perspective. God can give you a different perspective on different things. Are you feeling like you're getting lost or trapped into something? Then ask God to give you a different perspective. Ask Him to give you someone else's point of view on the situation. Ask for help. God doesn't just, He sent an angel to pick up John so he can see a greater view of actually what's going on here. And that's when he's able to see that harlot is riding the beast. He wouldn't have seen that otherwise. He needed to see that connection to make the connection that this government, this situations can be bad. Ask God to change your perspective. Second one, do not be fooled. The enemy will look nice sometimes. It could be a government, it could be a kingdom, it could be a church pastor, it could be anyone coming up to you saying, I'm going to offer you this. All you need to do is follow me. All you need to do is get a little mark on your forehead. All you need to do is, sorry, what was that? Nothing, just drink the Kool-Aid and keep walking, right? But the point is, the enemy is cunning, is smart. The Bible tells us is walking around, prowling like a lion, waiting to devour you. He knows what he's doing. Do not be fooled. Babylon here is described as a woman because that was the thing that a lot of people looked at and went, that's the big problem nowadays. I'm getting lustful over women. I'm going to temples. I'm going to do all these different things. And the issue is Babylon itself is very attractive, and it will be very attractive when it comes about to the world. But we're not meant to be in this world. We're not meant to be part of this world. We're meant to be part of God's world, like God's city, God's great city. So the third point is that great city. That great city is New Jerusalem above, heaven. Right? That's where we're aiming here. We're not aiming for Babylon. We're not aiming for Rome. We're not aiming for otis orchards in Washington State. We're aiming for heaven. That's the whole point. Where is your home? Right now I live on North Karen Road. It's hilarious. I'm waiting for my wife to get really aggressive over small things so I can call her Karen.
I'm pretty sure it's called Karen.
No, it's not. It's Karen. I live there, Aiden. I live
Yours is
there.
Yeah.
But the point is, that's not my forever home. Point is, I'm not going to live at North Karen Road for the rest of my life. Praise Jesus.
He's going to need an RV on today.
Because I'm going to leave and move to land and Kettle Falls. No, I'm joking. I'm going to heaven. I'm going to heaven. Because I know that's my next home. I know that once his body fades and breaks and falls apart and all that stuff, I know where I'm going. So if you don't know that, there is going to be a hard thing that's going to come your way. There's going to be an attractive whole power complex that pops up and wants to suck you in and pull you further away from God. Where are you going when you die? Are you going to heaven? Are you going to hell? It's a real basic question, but it changes your whole life. And I say a whole life because this isn't just it. You have life after this. We know that. I'm saying if you don't know that, then make that decision. Okay? Be one of the faithful. Be one of the ones who are chosen. Be the ones that were with Jesus right in the very end. That's where I want to be. Okay, that is Revelation 17.